Good to have you with us, Ed Schultz, news and commentary on this Wednesday edition. Back with you. You can go to the phone right now at 202-909-1492. And, 202-909-1492. And we'll take your phone calls. This is, I'm almost stunned at what I heard when I was out boating the last few days and playing some golf, taking a few days off to breathe a little bit. The story that developed on the Senate floor was that of Senator Jeanne Shaheen from the state of New Hampshire. The theme of that state, or slogan of that state is live free or die. She doesn't know anything about freedom, and it wouldn't bother me a bit if she tipped over. I just cannot believe what I'm hearing. This is Shaheen on the Senate floor attacking RT America.
In particular, our bill will give the Department of Justice new and necessary authority to investigate potential violations of the Foreign Agents Registration Act by RT America, the U.S. branch of RT News, or Russia Today News. The Foreign Agents Registration Act was passed back in the late 1930s in response to concerns about Nazi propaganda being disseminated in the United States without people knowing what it was.
She is comparing us to Nazi Germany. What RT America does, what I do, anchor the news, I guess is supposed to be compared to the Nazis. First of all, and she goes on to say that Putin controls the content. That's not true. And that we at RT are trying to kill democracy in America and that we're fake news. Well, there's a number of things here to unpack. First of all, Senator Shaheen has never been to our facility. I don't even think she knows where we broadcast from. She probably doesn't know that most of our employees are Americans who are journalists with college degrees, multiple degrees, for that matter. She gives absolutely no examples of any news stories that, quote, have been slanted or made up, but she says all of this on the Senate floor. Look, you may not like me, you may not like RT News, you may be skeptical of the whole deal. Guess what? She's losing her freaking mind. She has a responsibility to go to the well of the United States Senate with facts. She went to the floor with an agenda, pissed off because Hillary Clinton lost the election. This is all part of the Hillary Clinton crowd that is still upset that Donald Trump won the election. So now we got to gin up this story, this anti-Russia, and work over RT America. I was stunned when I heard this. I can't believe that she would stoop so low. The number to call me is 202-909-1492. Let's go to the phones. You're on with Ed Schultz. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, you're on.
I was wondering if it crossed anybody else's mind that since they relieved Bannon, that he might be involved with Putin on this bombing in Syria.
You're out of your freaking mind. No. Steve Bannon said early on he wasn't going to be on the National Security Council for very long anyway. Stop listening to InfoWars because they don't know shit either. All right, let's go to 202-909-1492. See, this makes it fun. All right, let's play another psycho soundbite by Senator Shaheen. Listen to this.
According to the U.S. intelligence community, the Kremlin selects the staff for RT and closely supervises RT's coverage.
That is absolute garbage. No one tells me what to write. I'm in the process of writing the 8 o'clock news this afternoon. I went over to the White House today to cover the press conference with the Jordanian King Abdullah and also President Trump, and I wrote my own story with no influence on exactly what both of these leaders said. I think that when you're a United States Senator, you have a responsibility to make sure that what you take to the Senate floor is factually backed up. No, the intel community never really said that the Kremlin picks the staff. They do not closely supervise our coverage. I haven't spoken to anyone in Moscow since I was in Moscow last year on a cordial visit just to meet people in the company. I've never been told what to say or how to say it or what to cover. Now, she goes on to talk about this photograph with Vladimir Putin and the head of RT, Margarita Simeonin. Here it is.
Including disinformation and false news stories designed to undermine our democracy.
Wait a minute. There are no false news stories. We were the ones that went to Flint, Michigan and found out that the water sucked, and now I wish that Senator Sheehan would have drank some of it. We were also the first people that went to the Dakota Access Pipeline. We don't make stuff up. And I just think that she has lost her marbles. And I get called a sellout? No, she's the sellout. What she is doing is making crap up and taking it to the floor. She can't back up any of this. She can't back up any of it. All right, go ahead.
So here we have a photo that shows exactly what I believe seems to be happening with RT. This photo is taken from a declassified U.S. intelligence report.
It's all over the internet. This picture she's talking about is a generic photograph that's already all over the internet. She's taking it to the floor as if it was a classified piece of information that is now declassified. Her brain is declassified. Go ahead.
RT editor-in-chief and former Putin campaign staffer, by the way, Margarita Simeonin, briefing Putin on RT's facilities. So,
briefing.
He clearly is interested.
Well, of course he's interested. No one's ever said that he wasn't interested. The same way Trump is interested. The same way Obama was interested in news operations. I mean, you know, this is, it's borderline dangerous. It really is. Now, I have called Senator Sheehan's office. I've called Senator Warner's office. Got no reply, by the way. And the reason why I called Warner is because he's on the Senate Intel Committee, and he's made some comments about RT. I'm stunned at this. I really am. Our number, 202-909-1492. If you're a psycho caller, I'm going to get rid of you. That's all there is to it. 202-909-1492. Now, I gave a commentary yesterday on Susan Rice. As I've said all along, the only thing that's going to clear this up is if you just bring everybody in, put them under oath. Let's just do it. Let's find out who knows what. Let's go to the phones. You're on with Ed Schultz. Go ahead.
The only thing that's going to clear
Go ahead. Turn your phone down and talk.
Hi, Ed. How are you?
Good. Go ahead.
Now, I just wanted to say that I wanted to thank you for having the courage to take on some of these really strange people. I cannot believe how much people have changed in terms of since you left MSNBC. That's all I wanted to do is say thanks. Thanks for working on the truth.
I appreciate that. I would have absolutely no problem with any United States senator going after RT if they had some facts. But everything that has been said so far is false. And the thing that gets me is none of them have asked any questions about any of our employees, how we operate, how we put our stories together, what we do. I mean, if the other day, CNN was on the air telling people not to pay attention to the Susan Rice story. Are you freaking kidding me? We have never told people, don't pay attention to this piece of information or that piece of information. They actually are on the air saying that we're not going to insult your intelligence because we don't think that the Susan Rice story is really a story. The unmasking of names in surveillance by the intel community, if those names are released, it's a crime. And she's right in the middle of it. She's already given two different answers from two different outlets. She was scrambling on MSNBC. She's clearly not sure of herself. And if she gets subpoenaed and she has to go in front of the House or Senate Intel Committee, and if she takes the fifth, let me be the first to say, if you know anything about the legal world, that takes you right to the former president of the United States. Why in the world would she take the fifth if there's no there? 202-909-1492. 202-909-1492. It's Facebook Live with your good buddy, Ed Schultz. All right, I was over at the White House today. The president, cut 7 here, said this about what his job is all about.
And I have to just say that the world is a mess. I inherited a mess. Whether it's the Middle East, whether it's North Korea, whether it's so many other things, whether it's in our country, horrible trade deals, I inherited a mess. We're going to fix it. we're going to fix it.
I'm sure many of you have heard about the attack in Syria that dealt with chemical weapons. This is the president talking about how his attitude towards Syria and Assad may be changing after this attack. Cut 5.
I like to think of myself as a very flexible person. I don't have to have one specific way, and if the world changes, I go the same way. I don't change. Well, I do change, and I am flexible, and I'm proud of that flexibility. And I will tell you that attack on children yesterday had a big impact on me. Big impact. That was a horrible, horrible thing. And I've been watching it and seeing it, and it doesn't get any worse than that. And I have that flexibility, and it's very, very possible, and I will tell you, it's already happened, that my attitude toward Syria and Assad has changed very much.
Well, what does that mean? The other day, Nikki Haley, UN ambassador, said that regime change was not a top priority for the United States in Syria. So the president did not give more definition today other than what you just heard about where he stands on Syria. Let's go to the phones, 202-909-1492. Caller, you're on with us. Hello.
Hey, Ed, I hope I'm not off topic, but I just wanted to get your attitude about the few Democrats that are siding with the GOP on some of these big issues.
Well, first of all, I think that the Republicans won the election. I think that the Democrats are setting a new standard for Supreme Court nominees being blocked. I think it's wrong. I hope that the Republicans don't have to change the law, the rule. I think when you look at the senators, Heidi Heitkamp, North Dakota, Joe Donnelly of Indiana, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, Bennett of Colorado, I don't know exactly where he stands. But there are Democrats from states that Donald Trump won, and they're up for re-election. And I think there's probably a political calculation in their support, but there's also a reasoning there that goes back many generations in our government, that when the President of the United States is elected, if he can put someone who's qualified up for the Supreme Court, normally they get confirmed by the Senate. And I don't totally agree with what Gorsuch does, especially on women's rights, but or workers' rights especially. But the fact is that there's no red flags, and he seems to be qualified. And they've gone through a vetting process, unlike anything we've seen in contemporary time for a judge. I don't know why he's not going to be on the court. Now, you could go back and say, well, how come Garland didn't get the same hearing? Well, there were reasons for that. It was timing of the presidency. This is in the very front end of the Republican presidency, and I just don't see any reason to hold him off the court. But this is where elections have consequences, and I think it's going to change the rule of the Senate, and it's going to change the attitude of senators in our government for years to come, and that's not what our framers wanted. That was my take on it. What about yours?
Well, I agree with that. I agree with a lot of the pundits that are saying that, that the filibuster is not relevant, and that, if it forces them to use the nuclear option, then it is going to change things in the future, and that's not necessarily a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
So,
I think minority voices are important, but I think obstruction is pretty clear. Thank you. Appreciate your call. Ed Schultz, Facebook Live, 202-909-1492. Hello, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, you're on with us. Go ahead. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, when we were talking about the situation with Syria and Nikki Haley just last week stating that it was not a priority, this is the deep state stepping in and saying that we will have war. That's my opinion.
Interesting. Well, the president, I was at the White House today in the Rose Garden watching the president. He obviously was shaken by this attack, and he says he's flexible and he's going to change his position, and he likes to change his position because conditions change. So it was kind of helter-skelter. You really don't know where the president stands on Syria right now. Here's my point. I think the American people have a right to know what our intentions are in the Middle East. Now, we know we want, peace between Palestine and Israel. I got that. But we really don't have a policy of dealing with the Russians in Syria, Assad himself? Are we for regime change? And I think the American people deserve an explanation from the commander-in-chief. Are we really going back into Syria the way we went into Iraq? Are we going to be knee-deep in this stuff, or are we going to be in it up to our neck or over our heads? And I think the American people deserve some answers. Your thoughts?
I agree with you. I agree the American people deserve some answers, but it's very clear they're going to put us in as many wars as they can.
Okay.
They don't give a damn about the American people.
Appreciate your call.
They don't give a,
Thank
they
you.
clearly don't give a damn about the people in the Middle East either.
Yeah. Look, I don't think the American people right now have the appetite to send massive troops into Syria. It'd be better off to control the violence and let the Syrians figure it out. We can't inject ourselves into a civil war. 202-909-1492. You're on Ed Schultz Facebook Live. Hello.
Hello, Ed.
Yes, sir.
I'm so concerned about everything. I don't even know what to think about first. I saw a video of children being gassed. I don't know what our part is in it. I saw a movie about how this all has to do with Russia. I don't know what to think anymore, and I don't know who to believe.
It's very confusing. It all boils down, and I will break it down very simply for you. The Russians and the Syrians go back centuries when it comes to allies. They believe the Russians live and let live. Let Assad run his own country. Assad does not want that pipeline from other countries in the Middle East coming through his territory to the Mediterranean, okay? He doesn't want that. The Assad family for years has been brutal on the people. His father, Hafez Assad, was a son of a bitch. But so was the Shah of Iran, and we propped him up years ago from Iran. There's been a lot of bad actors in the Middle East that the United States has supported. Obama comes along and does almost a hands-off except fight terrorists. And then he wants to do a regime change in Syria. The point I'm making is that we're all over the freaking map. And now we've got a president who's all over the map. One day, regime change is not the mission. Now today, because of one attack and chemicals were used and they're pinning it on Assad, now we're flexible. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to send 100,000 troops to Syria? I think the American people deserve some answers about just what the hell we're going to do. And then the president today sounded like he's getting ready to take a shot at North Korea. So I'm as confused as you are, but if you look at history, you're not going to break the bond between the Syrian people and the Russians. It isn't going to happen. And I don't think you're going to break the bond between Israel and the United States either. That's all I got. Thank you. Appreciate your call. 202-909-1492. You're on Ed Schultz Facebook Live. Hello. Go ahead.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I sure can. Go ahead. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Ed. I'm an independent voter, disabled veteran. And I've read some of your posts and I listened to some of your posts that you put out, and I'm confused. I'm confused because I'm trying to understand how Susan Rice is such a big issue, and I know it's important to understand what was done and the unmasking and the leaking, but how can you put Russia aside when we have a president in office right now that we're not even sure exactly what he did with the Russians? It's been an investigation since July.
Okay.
And it seems like you're more interested in Susan Rice, what supposedly happened with that can be looked at any point because it's not going anywhere. But we're following a president who may be influenced by foreign power. So how does that take a back seat to Susan Rice?
Okay. Susan Rice is one piece of the puzzle. I don't want you to be confused from where I stand. I believe that the House Intel Committee and the Senate Intel Committee and the FBI, we've got 3 different investigations going on. Let them do their work. To right now, to this moment, there is no hard evidence anywhere or any evidence at all that connects, quote, this Russian meddling into our election to the Russian Federation or Vladimir Putin, which has been reported on CNN. Just this morning, Peter King, congressman from New York, was saying there's no evidence. Well, if there's no evidence, then keep investigating. I'm all for that. When you have the intel community being infiltrated for political purposes, which is the allegation that people are putting on Susan Rice, I think you got to put her under oath and bring her in and question, what the hell were you doing unmasking the names of people who were caught up on phone calls when they were, tapping somebody else's line, a foreign agent, and they just happened to be doing international business? I mean, she ought to have some answers for that. And you, as a veteran who fought for this country in freedom and openness and transparency, should be right in the front line on that. I'm on the front line on that. I want the truth. And right now, how long does it take the FBI to figure out what the hell the Russians were doing? My God, they've been doing this since last July. They found Tom Brady's football jersey in Mexico a hell of a lot faster than this. And sooner or later, the country's going to have to realize, maybe this is bullshit. Maybe this is just total Clinton people upset they lost and they're trying to derail Trump any way they can. But when Trump comes out and tweets on March 6th that he was under surveillance, and now another shoe drops where you've got the House Intel Committee chairman saying he's seen some evidence, and then this story about Susan Rice comes out that she was involved a year before the election, checking out the identity of people who were being surveyed. Let me ask you, do you have a problem with that? Because I think you should.
Like I said, I understand that, and that's an important issue. But my most pressing concern is the fact that we possibly, and like you said, there is no evidence, but we possibly have a president who colluded with a foreign power.
That's a possibility.
That's more pressing to me.
Wait, let me offer this. Let me offer this. No, wait a minute. I'll let you talk, but listen to me.
Susan Rice is doing right now.
All right, wait a minute. We may have a past president who may have colluded with Susan Rice to get the names of the people that Trump was talking to. We have to find out.
Okay, so I understand that part, Ed, but that stuff that you're talking about with Susan Rice and possibly President Obama being involved in something that was illegal, where is that going? That's going nowhere. We can look at that information at any point.
Okay, wait a minute. Whoa, wait a second. You ask where that's going? We know that names have been unmasked, do we not? We know that for a fact. My friend, that is criminal activity. That is against the law.
Fine. It's against the law. Fine. You want to prosecute, you can do that at any point. But right now, this country could possibly be ran by someone who's listening to a foreign power.
No.
Who a foreign power helped get them in office.
Well,
how is that more pressing?
Buddy, all I can tell you that's going to come out if that's the case. There's three investigations.
The same thing with this Susan Rice narrative that you're harping on right now. The truth is going to come out.
That's right. You goddamn right it's going to come out. You better believe it's going to come out. So what are you afraid of? What?
No.
All right. We can't talk. We can't. Goodbye. I can't talk over you. You can't do that to me. 202-909-1492. I'm just saying the truth will come out. Can't be afraid of testimony. You can't be afraid of people being called in, raising their right hand, and swearing to tell the whole truth. I'm sorry. Whether you like it or not, Susan Rice is in the middle of this shit. 202-909-1492. This is Ed Schultz News and Commentary. That's all I got today. Back tomorrow.